Hello, Chantal.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. So you've been very busy making music as well as so many other things. But this is your first solo album in a while. Tell me about making the decision to embark on that journey again of putting together a collection of songs and making a solo album. Like, how do you make that decision at this point in your life and your career with so many things going on?
I think there's probably a bunch of answers, but ultimately it's the songs. The songs started to come in and come through me, and they were being born and wanted to be out there and alive, and I think that was they are the decision maker.
You know the feeling now when it's like
I mean Into Me wrote Into Me, and it was like, wow, this I'd like to share.
Well, let's talk about that one. It's a personal song. It's about realizing the person that loves you is here to stay.
Yeah, I think you come to a point where, usually anyway, I feel like my husband and we can have that conflict. We can solve conflicts. Nothing will mean it's over or it's ending or that, there's doom. And that's, I guess it's really about finding that security with your partner. And
you can even write songs together, which is a good sign.
Yeah. We do a lot of stuff together. And so, that creates a deep connection, and it also creates a lot of opportunity for conflict. So, but yeah, I feel like I'm really happily married and in a place that, now it's about protecting our future together so that we'll have someone to grow old with and someone with whom we have all this history. It's a real gift if you can get through it,
Protection. I want to come back to that. I think that's an interesting word. Work-life balance is important to you. You started writing songs for other artists partly so you could spend more time with your family.
It was a bit of a day job vibe,
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because is it really less demanding? I've talked to some other songwriters who talk about 6-7 day weeks, 12-hour days, constantly writing.
That's one approach.
Yeah.
That's one approach.
So tell me about what that looks like, you drawing the line between work and...
I definitely have boundaries.
What do your boundaries look like?
Well, my priority is my family, and I'd rather scrape dimes than miss too much of what's going on with my children's lives. Otherwise, why did I have them? I mean, that's just me. I know there's other people, it's happening a different way, and I'm not judging, how other people do it, but I'm very driven by the idea of deep connection with my family. So there's no place I'd rather be. My kids are ballers. There's no place I'd rather be than in the sports complex, watching my kids in their tournaments or at their practices or what have you, and connecting with the other parents. And Raina and I are always together to the point that the kids are like, wait, you're both coming? And Raina and I laugh because we're like, dude, like the other parents aren't both coming because they're divorced. They're divorced. You're lucky we're both coming. So we live for that.
So do you write in the house or do you have a separate space?
Everywhere. I mean, the writing process for me is all over the map. Okay. Sometimes it's alone. I tape it. I voice noted my Kendrick to Kendrick, and one of them. This process is now just such an open process. It's so different for every crew, for every co-writer you come into contact with, for every project. And, some people don't want to talk to anyone. They're over it, and they just like to hear the ideas. So,
well, let's get into the process for these 3 songs that we've picked out here. As I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention in the intro, you've worked with a range of artists, some that might surprise people. Let's play this first one.
It's been that way from the beginning. I just been playing, I ain't even noticed I was winning. And this is the only sound you should fear. Man, these kids wear crowns over here and everything is alright. Say I'm old news, well, who the news stop?
That's Drake with Over My Dead Body. So tell me, how do you end up writing on a hip hop track like that?
Oh gosh, it was Adrian Ecclestein, who is such a dude on the scene. I just adore him. Hi, Adrian. Great human being, real connector. And we were hanging one day. I think I just bumped into him somewhere in the music scene, and he said, I'm working with Drake, man. You got to work with Drake, And I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be so cool. The next day I bumped into Drake. I don't even think
Is this Adrian the
had to
guitar
sing.
player? Okay.
I don't even think that Adrian had to say anything to Drake. I'm not sure if he did, but he planted the seed and the universe responded. He's got that. He's like a shapeshifter guy, you know? And so, yeah, or maybe he did tell Drake. I can't remember. But so first, I was talking to Drake and we agreed it'd be a lot of fun to collaborate. And then 40 sort of took
Drake's
over because he's his main partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's really great at like being Drake's buffer and sort of, you know, he's just an ultimate collaborative partner to Drake, and I think like a curator or something. You know, it's very cool, their process, and I just had the extreme privilege of being able to sort of jump in on that scene for a second.
I think this is a great song. We have a piano here in the studio. I think this is a great song to maybe dig into the process if you want to head over there. And I want to ask you, as you head over there, about the difference in process for this song, because we hear you on this song in the end a little bit differently than we hear you normally. We hear the piano is muted a little bit. And your vocal is also affected a little bit differently. So could you play what it would sound like if you were just demoing?
I can't remember what key it's in.
Okay.
But I think, and I can't remember, I think maybe 40 came up with this thing and showed it to me.
Like the chord progression?
I mean, I don't know how he'd play it. Like, it's probably different, but we probably just had the, you know, the chords going.
And
you know, that's a no. You know that you don't love me, baby. But I love the trying to take you away from me. You know, there's a whole verse as well. Over my dead body. But I think there's a verse too to the song. I can't remember how it goes right now. Yeah, there was just a bit of sort of trial and error and riffing on probably that chord progression.
That's interesting. And how does it feel hearing the finished product? Because 40, Drake's main producer, then takes all of those, you know, that chord progression and this raw material that we're hearing now. What did you think when you heard the final product?
I thought it was amazing, and you know, I there's a part of me that I probably would have loved, you know, my voice to be more out just as an artist. If you're going to get featured on such an iconic big, you know, track, hello, come on. But at the same time, I think that what those guys are always about is they're all about like the honoring the track. You know what I mean? It's not about what you might. It's not about anyone's ego. It's about making the track sound the best that it can, and you know, making the right artistic choices. And I think they did. I think it created a really mysterious thing, which I know was what they were going for.
It definitely just fit with the rest of Drake's catalog, as it had that sound that they go for with everything.
Yeah,
in the
end.
And
in the end, no matter who they sort of collaborate with, it very much has a theme, a musical theme.
Well, that was great. Thank you for doing that. You can come back over to the table here as we play another song collaboration of yours from the hip hop world.
Ain't no game, I'm taking all you have, and you're gonna pay for it. I don't know if I can stop myself, and you're gonna pay for it. Touch fire, let it burn. This ain't no game. I'm taking all you have, and you're gonna pay for it.
It's a heavy load. I strolled in a bumpy road. No jacket when I was cold. Becoming one with my soul. Stand toe to toe with my foes. These wolves in sheep clothes. No weapon on me shall prosper. You better watch it. You playing with fire.
Your voice is nice and prominent on that. That's Chantal on the J-Rock and Kendrick Lamar track that she wrote, Pay For It. And that song's had such an interesting life because you originally wrote that song while working with Kendrick for the To Pimp a Butterfly album, but it didn't make the cut.
No, because we had another one that's so beautiful. I still cannot. It was the most beautiful, incredible experience I've ever had in any session, in any creative process in my life.
Really?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was epic.
Well, tell me about that before we get further into what happened with this song.
what happened was we'd done Pay For It, and then I realized that it had been, I thought it was like in the trash because we were now working on this other song. I don't want to say the name of the song in case he ends up using it somewhere else, but it was very political. And it's actually a very romantic, beautiful, jazzy thing that he heard it and flipped it into a very political thing about what is going on in the United States and civil rights. And then I was over one day checking in on my track, and you kind of just try to say, hey, what's going on? And they invited me in to work on that track further, and Kendrick had written a script to go with it, like a movie. So I got
He's unbelievably creative.
No. Listen, they passed me the script. I didn't know Kendrick was in the booth. I'm listening to the song. I didn't realize it was my song. They re-recorded my song about 5 times. And now this was another version of it, like Tiger Cat's playing on it, and
Thundercat.
Thundercat's playing all over. Tiger Cats, that's a football team. But so Thundercat's playing all over it, and Soundwave had produced it. It was incredible. My piano playing. And then Kendrick was in the booth, and I didn't realize it. And then oh my God, Kendrick's like he's rapping right now. It was beautiful. It was incredible. Huh. And then they said, can you go in and do these lines? So I got to go in to the booth, and like, I'm not kidding you, it was so dramatic and powerful, my lines. Then I got to improvise and into my track. Like, it was insane.
So what's it like working with those guys? Because Kendrick Lamar has made a couple of the better albums maybe ever, but that's certainly in recent memory.
Ever, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, but there's a lot of mystery around how their camp works, and they keep it very close.
No, they don't.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Total myth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us.
The thing about his process is that he is, I would say, he encompasses love. Like, you just know, if you get to know him at all, that it's like he has a dashboard, and the word love is flashing in fluorescent light constantly. And so creatively, he's coming at it from a place of love. Like, he wouldn't, I don't know if he would say this. This is what I see, okay? So that means that he is open. And so, like, you knock on the door and you've got a Kendrick Lamar idea, like an idea that you want to run by him, he'd be like, yo, man, come in. Yeah, I want to hear that. So everybody gets to have a shot, and he basically gets to hear what's going on, and it makes him bigger in his in his understanding of how what people want to say and of what's out there, and it really just expands him. But it gives him sort of a bigger carte blanche in a way, and more opportunities creatively. And so I remember this one day, me and Thundercat, like, our sessions were crazy. Like, he's nuts. Like, he's the funniest person you'll ever meet.
Thundercat,
like,
incredible bass player.
He's just the most brilliant human being ever. Yeah. He's going to laugh. I'm going to text him after this and tell him I called him a tiger cat. It's going to be a great day for me. But anyway, he's truly, and he also is love. Like, he really is. These, and so is Marcus Sound. And anyway, I remember he was behaving so incredibly erratically, as was I. And I go, it's crazy, Kendrick. It's just too crazy. I can't handle it. And he goes, the crazier, the better. Like, and I could just tell what that meant, because so many scenes you go into, it's all about, like, what you wear and how cool you're being, and, like, whether it's pop and you're with, I'm not going to name names, but, like, everybody's so damn cool, and it's hard to be that cool. I mean, Jesus, I'm a 43-year-old mother. Like, I mean, I'm not that cool.
And their camp is all about the creativity.
They're just about the creativity and the love.
Well, let's keep talking about the life of this song. We played, it feels like hours ago now, but we played this song, and that's all good. J-Rock and Kendrick Lamar, Pay For It. Had an interesting life, because that ended up on the J-Rock project. Kind of blew up in this Beats headphones commercial.
Yeah, really quickly. I found out the day before.
It's amazing how...
I found out the day before. I actually didn't know that it was going in the Beats commercial. I heard somebody say something, and I was like, yeah, right. And then my phone blew up during the NFL game that night. And I was like, stop right now. I mean, my phone blew up, because they not only had my song in the commercial, it was like the whole this long extra like minute and a half commercial, like a little mini movie, and they put, featuring Chantal Kreviazuk at the beginning of it. I was like weeping. It was pretty cute. And then a week later, they called me
SNL.
and they said, "Hey, are you busy? 2 weeks we're going to do SNL." It was just super, super awesome that a song could just have that life when I thought that song was in the trash, which is like the perfect songwriter story, let me tell you.
We've heard a few of these in the Hitmaker series. In case folks are just tuning in, again, singer-songwriter Chantal Kreviazuk is my guest on this installment of Q's Hitmaker series. I'm Shad, and you're listening to Q. Okay, this next track we're going to hear is pretty different from the first two we've heard. Let's play a clip here.
Ask for money and get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice. I'm from the dirty, but that Chico nice. Y'all call it a moment, I call it life.
One day while the light is glowing, I'll be in my castle golden. But until the gates are open, I just wanna feel this moment. Oh, I just wanna feel this moment. Oh, I just wanna feel this moment.
That's Feel This Moment, a big hit for Pitbull featuring Christina Aguilera. That was a vocal that we heard on that track. Is it weird for you hearing someone else sing something you've written, something like a Christina on that particular song?
In general, no, it's just kind of awesome to hear someone else sing your song. Like I've never had, any kind of grief in my heart about that. Maybe the concept of somebody singing something personal to you could be hard. Like I had a few songs on hold for Pink for this current album, and it was taking her a long time to make her album. Like me, she's a mom, she wanted a break. So I said that I wanted those songs back for my album because they were personal to me. It might have been hard for me to hear Pink sing those few songs. I don't know. But on the Christina song, that was very much, that came from a conscious songwriting day. I was working with Nasri Atway from Magic, and he's a brilliant songwriter, and we've worked together numerous times, and that's why we went into the session to write that song, and so there's no problem hearing. What I did sort of contemplate though was, how is Christina going to sing it? Because I'll play you this one.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, go over there. She has a very distinct vocal style.
A very, very distinct voice, and a very, like a powerhouse of a voice. Like you should have heard this. I mean, there's almost no amount of compression that could, like, sufficient
from that little body just blow a house down.
It's unbelievable. So for me, it was like, one day when the light is glowing, I'll be in my castle golden. But until the gates have opened, I just wanna feel this moment. Then it gets bigger. But one day when the light, like, how is Christina gonna do that? Was my thinking, and I was sure that it would turn into one day when the light is gone. Like I just had this, like, what is gonna become of that thing in my mind? And she really, despite the fact that her voice is massive, she still was able to capture, I think, that the vulnerability of the idea of one day I'm gonna die,
Yeah.
So
I want to ask you, what do you think people look for when they're looking for one of your songs? Like, is it your melodic sense? Is it the sort of soaring vocals when it hits the chorus? What do you think people come to you for as a songwriter?
Well, as a songwriter, I usually have something in my mandate, I suppose, or my mission statement as a songwriter is that there has to be something yearning about it. Like if you look at the beginning of every song on my new album, it's like the first one is like, there's something angsty right away, or my song Vicious. Like I have to cut in. There has to be something, this ain't no game, I'm taking all you have.
That's an interesting word to use.
There has to be something that cuts in.
Has songwriting taught you a lot about yourself? Like words like yearning, like maybe you realize, I guess that's me.
I think to answer your question,
Yeah.
not at a piano.
Sure, yeah. You can come back here
I
to answer that.
think with me, I mean, it's I'm only coming up with this in the moment, but you know, my personality is that I'm incredibly bright and sunny, and then I'm also in a lot of pain. You know, so I'm like this walking, you know, contradiction, and I think a lot of us are. You know, it's our inclination to be a child in the wonderment of life, and just like, you know, moving and shaking and, you know, hustling and bustling. That's me. That's my natural state of being. But I'm also somebody who definitely is empathic and
feel a lot.
I feel this life thing. So they're both in there, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
It's probably a good tension that comes from that too, that makes great songs.
Yeah, it's like,
the two.
it's always, they call it like the sus chord, you know, that you know, there's something, and I that's usually in my songs. Even, you know, if I'm going to cover a song, you know, when I've covered Jet Plane, for instance, it just wasn't a happy, like, no. You know? And sometimes, you know, like I loved how people were describing Prince as someone who had, you know, either, you know, sex or you know, pain. You know, those things are what he explored. But to me, I understand why that's what he did. I get where that's coming from, because sometimes the sexiness, it does embody a bit of that sort of, it's almost dark, you know, like sexy.
It has a dark edge to it. Yeah,
it floats with and sometimes sexy is very edgy. So we're definitely overlapping in those moods, you know.
That's great. I want to save a bit of time to play one of your songs on the end here, but thank you so much for being with me. That was super fun.
Thanks for having me.